Alright, the next thing that I added here was some reflective tape on the bottom here, on both sides, just around the bottom. And the whole purpose of that is, I'll show you really quick here, is really trying to get some light to bounce around so that the engine light looks a little bit more intense. So what I ended up doing, if you saw my other videos, is that I had put together this LED light strip for the engine lights, and what I did was I basically just cut a piece of styrene in the shape, and what this will do is provide, and I put some of that same reflective tape on the top of this. So this, I designed this to be removable in case I ever need to service the LEDs, and they should just drop right in like that. And then I also had to cut out some notches here to fit around the nubs that you see on the cover of the engine lights. So and then with that we could test this out. Let's see here. Okay, so that is on. I know this is going to wash out with the light, but that's what it looks like. I'll turn off the light here for a second. And I'm also going to glue this part down so you don't get some of those leaks there. But in essence, that's what it will look like. And then what I ended up doing here was cut some holes in just to make the final wire path a little bit easier, so they don't have to go over it, they can just go right through. So I made a modification there, right there, reduced the wall. It was kind of at a diagonal, so I cut that down. And then on that side right there, same thing. For the battery pack, added those clips too, and just kind of cut off the bottom half, so it's just the upper part. And then, so the same thing here as on the other side, and then I could use these just simple rubber bands to secure it in place so it doesn't just flop around. And then let's see here, the one last thing is regarding the engine lights. So originally I had the wires coming out the end of this, but you can see with that mounting post it does tend to get pinched and the wires are just a little fragile there. So ended up going through the back side of the engine plate, soldered it to the respective pads, and you can see how it comes out through the back, and this works perfectly fine. Same connector that I used on the other side. So and I've tested this out, works perfectly either way. It doesn't affect the electrical connection whatsoever. So what I'll end up doing after this video and before I snap everything together is I'll snip these two wires off so it's clean, so there's no interference from that connecting post. I've marked these mounting ports where the top would attach to, so that's those are the places where I need to avoid the wires and whatnot, so just to kind of help me orient things. I made this little piece for the tunnel. I had some ideas around this, not sure. Well, basically I'm not going to leave it in like this while I install the top. There's reports that the two gun bays will very close, they might even touch, so I'm not gonna put this in now. What I'll end up probably doing is cutting it and then attaching it afterwards. So that's how it would look, and really again that's just to minimize any sort of light coming out of that, since I did wire up some LEDs in the back here, which I think I've talked about in another episode. But so that's that. Added a couple more of these clips just to help with the wire management. I trimmed down the post, and you can see here I have, this is just a nylon lock nut, but it's installed. I trimmed down the post, and everything seems to be working quite well. Super firm, super happy with this mounting solution. I hopefully, knock on wood, this is not going anywhere. You guys may have seen before, I did some light blocking here for the ramp lights. I did trim a little bit here because it was potentially interfering with the top, the way it was mounted. I would like this to be removable once the top is on, so that's why I did trim it a little bit so that I can remove this whole piece out if I needed to later on. So I did that, and you can see here another couple of wire management clips here, just in preparation for what I plan to do. And then I think the last thing here is I trimmed off the nubs on these posts since I'm not going to use them. Wanted a flat surface here in case at some point either I wanted to mount a different size battery. If I wanted to do something else, I just wanted to start with a clean surface. Now these guys I think I could still access even if the top is on, but while I was in here I decided to clean that up for the time being. So this is the bottom. That's all I've done with this so far, so I think the bottom is ready to go. If we want to take a quick look at the top half, I don't think I've talked much about this, but I did put this light shield up for some possible stray light that will go forward that you could see between the cracks at the front of the Falcon. Again, put some wire connectors here for that wire, and then I think this was on before, but anyway, same concept. These are the cockpit lights, just to kind of help manage the wire so that it goes to the back here where I want it to go. Other than that, there's not much more to the top side, so I think I'm pretty much ready, and I need to be ready at this point because it's just sucking up way too much time and I need to get to the painting process. So anyway, that's that. So we'll go to putting these two halves together. Alright guys, you probably saw some of the struggle that I went through here. You probably noticed I had an issue on this side, and you just, as much as you can and spread out the force. You probably saw that I just kind of squeezed and squeezed, and then you heard that one little snap, which you'd never like to hear on plastic parts. But it looked like that was what was needed to get everything put together. So just going around, looks like everything is situated very nicely. Looking at all the seams along the docking rings, everything around here seems to be pretty solid. This side here looks like there's a little bit of give, so might have to work this side a little bit more just to get everything down as best as possible. So, but I think overall it's pretty good. Everything's pretty solid. So I'll go and finish up putting the rest of the greeblies on here that required the top to be installed. You can see the holes here, and I think there's some piping, whatnot, that I held off because I wanted this to all be completed and whatnot. So we'll finish that up, and then, like I said from the first video, my whole intent of this series wasn't necessarily to go through a complete 100% build process, and especially a painting process like some of the other builders are. There's far better builders and painters out there. For me, this series was about all these little tidbits and nuances that I had going through my head that I had difficulty finding videos online to help me think through some of these concepts. So my whole intent here was to kind of give you some of those little oddball type of situations that you might go through. So you might see some painting here and there, but we'll see, right? Who knows what this will take us or where it will lead us. But I'll give you updates as we go along, and any tips and tricks that I've learned or any issues that I've faced as we go through the painting process, then I'll be sure to update you guys. But that's really it. So that's another milestone achieved and checked off. Alright, two quick updates. One thing you'll see here is that I removed the rear top support here. So literally just took a Dremel, cut it, sanded it down so it's nice and smooth. I didn't want to take it all the way to the edge because I didn't want to risk damaging this piece here, the sides. There's really no need. So just took it down with the Dremel real quick, each side, and it came out pretty easily. Sanded it down, and then you can see it opens up all of the space right in the middle here. Gives me great access to anything I need to do with the battery pack, with the wiring. There's going to be a lot of work here, so I think this has worked out really well. The overall Falcon is still just as sturdy as ever. There's I can't see any ill effects so far. The back engine cover fits in nicely, and then the other thing is we'll get in here a little bit, but it's regarding the gun turrets. And originally I had put together a little tunnel of sorts, but I decided after putting this together, you'll see there that right there, so you'll see they literally are touching. When I shine some light through the port, you can see there's just some light coming through, but not a whole lot. So I think overall that ended up looking pretty good. So there was no need for me to use the tunnel that I made, and I think that's it. So on to painting. Take care, guys. Bye.